that's point one. Planning board doesn't meet until October 11th. And then the second is that for want of a quorum, the Architectural Review Committee didn't hold a meeting last month, so we can't take it up with them until a little bit later. I think that meeting is the 11th or the 6th, I don't remember which. But we're basically looking to continue it until the next meeting, and I intended by means of the document that I provided you to give you the written agreement that's required by Chapter 48 to extend the period of time of the decision, the period of time that we continue to, whether that's 2 weeks or 4 weeks. So we would respectfully request a continuance on the matter.
You have actually requested continuance until October 19th. Your application would be the only item of business presently on for that date. Will you have enough time to take care of your 2 other punch list
yes,
items?
Mr. Chairman. Yes, we will.
Very well. Members of the board, there is a letter to that effect and also an agreement to extend the time for decision on the application for special permit. Is there, I'll
Make a motion that we accept the letter and grant the continuance.
do I hear a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Then this will be continued until October 19th or the next regular meeting, which will probably be October 19th, 2011, 7 o'clock.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's necessary that we set a specific date from the standpoint of notice under Chapter 48. There may be people here who are interested in that, so I think that it needs to be a date certain. So respectfully, I would ask the board, and again, I'm not trying to push you with regard to a specific date. I'm just saying we should continue it to a specific date so our notice is proper.
Then it shall be October 19th, 2011.
Thank you.
You can make that part of the motion.
Yes. In the matter of case number 1931, the application of Eric and Kathleen Brem, I have a correspondence dated October 5, 2011 from Trevor Kurz, president of Kurz House Designs. Informing, the substance of the letter is informing that Kurz House Designs has been retained to take over the project, the subject of which is the application for special permit, and asked for a continuance until the next available hearing date. Now that would be October 19th, 2011. Members of the board, is there any commentary meant?
I'm Trevor Kurz on
Yes.
behalf of Kathleen Brem.
Is that going to be enough time for you?
Yes, it would be.
Very well. Is there,
When are materials due for that meeting?
Historically, the board has liked to have them a week before. Still work for
I
you?
can accomplish that.
Okay.
that would be October, on or before
The
October 12th, 2011, sir?
Yes.
Make a motion to continue the case until October 19th.
Very well. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
The hearing on the application of Eric and Kathleen Brim has been continued until October 19th, 2011, the next hearing date.
Thank you.
Okay. Goes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that I think some of the people here are for that first hearing that was continued, and I'm not sure they heard. Oh, did everybody hear that? Okay. Sorry.
Didn't want to get up in the middle of your meeting and leave.
That was
Didn't
your
want to be
point.
rude.
In case 1932, Garner LaStage has applied for special permit as set forth in Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 9, under Orleans zoning bylaw sections 164-3C1 and 164-21C, to demolish a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling and construct a new dwelling in violation of coastal setbacks. The property is located at 12 Lestage Road, Orleans map number 56, parcel number 18. Present are regular members, Chairman Marnick, members Matthew Cole, William Pearsall, Beth McCartney, and Associate Member Greg Delory. A quorum, all 5 members will vote on this application. Are there any conflicts of interest among the members of the board concerning this application? I hear no response. Have any member of the board had any communications with the applicant, applicant's representatives, or any interested parties concerning this application in its substance or detail? And I hear no response. Then you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. David Little from Ryder Wilcox, and I'm here with Garner Lestage at the table. His wife Marilyn is in the second row, and their architect Karen Kempton is in the second row as well. So the project consists of the removal of an existing 2-bedroom dwelling in cesspool and the construction of a new 4-bedroom dwelling and a new Title V septic system and a new driveway. The existing dwelling was constructed in 1960, and it's non-conforming with respect to its setback to the top of the coastal bank. The new dwelling, as proposed, will also remain non-conforming in the same regard. However, there will be a reduction in the nonconformity of 3.9 feet. Since this application is solely based on what I call the top of the bank setback bylaw, I have a sketch that I'd like to hand out that I think will help me describe how we are in the situation that we are. It's merely the site plan that I submitted, but I've colored some.
No 3D, huh, Dave?
Well, it just helps a little bit because oftentimes this is why I end up before the board, and it's because of the fact that we are dealing with a bylaw that was created to protect views from water bodies. The actual bylaw refers to coastal banks, coastal beaches, coastal dunes, salt marshes, inland banks, pond or lakes as used in this section. And they also refer to as defined as in the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. And what's interesting about the Lestage's property is that for the members that went to the site, the house faces toward the coastal resource area. It faces toward the water. But if you look at this sketch that I just handed out, in orange, I've delineated the top of the coastal bank. And what happens here is that the state definition of a coastal bank is defined by the fact that the blue line on this map, which is the flood zone, hits the bank where it's of a certain steepness that we have to go up to a point where it becomes less steep. So the flood zone actually extends all the way up into Cedar Cove Road, which causes the coastal bank to extend all the way up into Cedar Cove Road. So we're kind of caught in the state definition of a coastal bank here, whereas I believe that this actual bylaw was created to protect views from the water, not to protect views from streets. So that being said, I just wanted to show you on this plan how the proposed dwelling is actually 79 feet from the portion of the top of the coastal bank that faces the water. Where we have our nonconformity is the portion of the top of the coastal bank that faces the road. The orientation of the house, we've actually, the Lestages and Karen Kempton and I, believe it or not, we've been working on this for a couple of years now, and it's just, for a number of reasons, we've visited and revisited the plan, and we finally settled on a house design and location. And I do apologize for submitting revised plans at the 11th hour, but I didn't realize that Karen had made a revision to her plan, and my site plan didn't correctly reflect that. Fortunately, the change resulted in a reduction in the nonconformity to the top of the coastal bank. What kind of drives our house location here is the location of the septic system and a driveway with a suitable turnaround. The septic system has to be 10 feet from a property line. The foundation has to be 20 feet from the septic system. So that's kind of driving the location of the body of the house, and then the garage itself is driven by the necessity to make a comfortable turnaround for 2 vehicles. So that being said, I would like to address the criteria and then make myself available and the Lestages and Karen Kempton available for any questions. With respect to the adequacy of the site for the proposed use, the 1.05 acre site is adequate for the dwelling. The building footprint is 3,304 square feet, which results in a building coverage of 8.2%, which is well below the 15% maximum. A single-family dwelling remains suitable in this residential neighborhood. There would be no additional impact on traffic flow and safety. The impact on neighborhood visual character: while the new dwelling will be larger, the view from the water will not be changed significantly. The new house is pulled back from the portion of the top of the bank that faces the water, and the property is only visible from the adjacent properties and the property across Cedar Cove Road, all of which are owned by either the Garner Lestage or his brothers or family. This is part of the family compound. So the impact that this house may have on the view to Lot 4 behind it, the view from the lot to the south of it, the view from across Cedar Cove Road, they're all owned by family members. We have designed a new Title V sewage disposal system, sized for a 4-bedroom dwelling. The property has the benefit and use of all available utilities and public services. There is no noise or litter anticipated other than the temporary noise that would be associated with the construction of the dwelling. And as to the impact of groundwater quality, recharge volume, and water quality of coastal and freshwater bodies, we went before the Conservation Commission a couple of times. We had 2 meetings with them. They have issued an order of conditions for the project, which is quite lengthy. We also provided a land management plan, which I included in this presentation, which deals with removing invasive vegetation in the area and planting native vegetation, which is not necessarily something that this board looks for, but it's something that the Conservation Commission is strongly in favor of. So the bottom line of the land management plan, or the most important feature that I would probably point out is the fact that a significant amount of lawn that presently exists near the top of the coastal bank will be returned to a native state, providing added buffer to the coastal resource areas. That would be my presentation. If any of us can answer any questions, we'll be happy to do so.
Mr. Little, what can we designate this plan up just so it's part of the record? I'm inclined to just
Resource area delineation sketch.
I'm having trouble lining up the distance by which the nonconformity will be reduced. The last numbers I saw were that the nonconformity in the coastal bank setback was 9.7 feet. I don't see any 9.7 existing here. And that the new coastal bank setback would be reduced by 5.8 feet, or, that's what I'm confused.
Mr. Chairman,
Where are we?
on the whole site plan, which I submitted, the 18 by 24 site plan, in the right-hand portion of the site plan, I show height calculations. If I could draw your attention to that. The existing house has a height of 14.4 feet, which the required setback to the top of the bank would be 21.6. The existing setback is 11.9, which results in a nonconformity of 9.7.
Okay, I see it.
The proposed height of the new dwelling is 24.8, which would result in a required setback of 37.2, and we now have a proposed setback of 31.4, which results in a nonconformity of 5.8. So we do have a 3.9-foot reduction in the overall nonconforming nature of the house.
I understand it now. Are there any other questions of the applicant?
I do, I don't know what order you want to go.
You may proceed.
Just a quick question, David, on your building height calculation relative to the definition of building height relating to average existing grade on the street side. So it looks like you're flattening out and lowering the area that the house is sitting on, and it'll sit on a pad that's approximately elevation 32. However, the existing grade lines on the street side are 36.
Actually, for the purpose of this application, in 16421C, it said the building height for the purpose of this section shall be the vertical distance from the pre-existing natural grade at the foundation on the side of the building facing the coastal bank. So what I did, I averaged all the corners on the side that face the coastal bank to come up with, of what the pre-existing grade is, to come up with an average grade plane. And from that's what I determined the building height from.
Okay, so what is that grade that you're using? And maybe I just missed it on the plan.
You can bear with me a second, I'll pull it out.
$32.25, Dave?
Okay, where am I?
Top of foundation?
Proposed top of foundation is elevation 3225, that's correct, but the actual grade plane is a little bit lower than that, and I'm just going through my notes now. The average grade plane is 31.5, and that's if you average, I took a number of shots around the existing dwelling to come up with that.
31.5?
31.5 is the average grade plane that faces the water or coastal bank side of the structure.
So that's what you get your 24.8 from?
So the ridge, the we have a top of foundation elevation of 3225. Okay, it got me on this one. I thought I had it all figured out up in my head, but bear with me, I do have this information.
I think you're right. I mean, you're calling the rear elevation the water facing.
I
correct?
am.
Okay.
And the proposed height is approximately 26 feet of the building itself. Okay, 24, the proposed height of 24.8 is if you take the ridge elevation and you subtract the grade on the water side, which is 31.5, that's how I come up with the height. Does that make sense? I gotta get my calculator.
What was that, Dave?
I'm gonna run the numbers right now. Karen and I spent hours working this out. I'm surprised they didn't have it more succinctly defined for you.
What's the ridge elevation?
Let's see, the
ridge height is 24.8 from grade to the ridge, 24 feet, 10 inches.
No, but he's got another number that.
no, it's 24.8. It is from the pre-existing grade on the water side of 31.5. You add 24.8 to that. And we have a ridge elevation of 56.3, which really, that's what it is. The important number is the distance from the pre-existing grade on the street, on the water side to the ridge, which is 24.8 feet.
I agree. That satisfies what I was asking. That clarified exactly what I was looking for.
Okay. There are a number of ways that you can back it in from the TOF to, but that's the important number for the purposes of determining the non-conforming nature to the top of the coastal bank. And we are required by Brian and Tom in the building department to provide that information on the certified plot plans to the building department to make sure that it is built accordingly.
Plus the as-built would show that too.
Yes, it does.
That's the only question I had.
I have just a quick question, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the special permit, but concerns the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Does Mr. Stage own Lot 4, or is there an easement across that?
We own it.
Okay.
It's part of an LLC that's family-owned.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Do you have any questions? Is there anyone else in the room that wants to be heard in favor of this application? Are there any people present in this room who desire to be heard in opposition to this application? Then we'll close this hearing for any further testimony. There are no letters in the file, Mr. Cole. What's your sense, Mr. Delory?
I'd be in favor of approving this application.
I would have no problem granting the special permit.
Same.
Then, following public deliberation by the zoning board of appeals, a quorum of qualified members being present and voting based on the application of Garner Stage filed August 5th, 2011, based also on the drawings, sheets A1 through A5 prepared by Karen Kempton, dated February 2, 2011, revised September 28th, 2011, based also on the planting plan drawn by Wilkinson Ecological Design, dated June 2011, based also on the plans entitled Proposed Dwelling and On-Site Sewage Treatment and Disposal System, Ryder and Wilcox, Inc., revised June 22, 2011, and September 28, 2011, two sheets. And plan entitled Resource Area Delineation Plan, filed at the hearing on October 5, 2011, and the order of conditions executed by the Conservation Commission of the Town of Orleans, recorded on July 25, 2011, with the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds in Book 25538, page 123. I move that the board adopt the following findings of fact. 1. The subject property, known as 12 Stage Road, Orleans, Massachusetts, is shown as parcel 18 on Orleans map 56 and is in an R district. 2. The present use of the property is a single-family dwelling. 3. The proposed use of the property is a reconstructed single-family dwelling. 4. The proposed use or change in use will not be detrimental to the established and future character of the neighborhood and will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. 5. The alteration and reconstruction will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. The present nonconformity under Section 164-21C, coastal bank setback of 9.7 feet, will be reduced to 5.8 feet, although the new building height will exceed the height of the present building. The actual setback from the top of the coastal bank will be 31.4 feet. 6. The site is adequate in terms of size and suitable for the proposed use because the site consists of 1.05 acres and the new building, continuing the present use of a single-family dwelling in a residential neighborhood, has a footprint of 3,304 square feet, resulting in a building coverage of 8.2%. The proposed use will have no negative impact on traffic flow or safety. 8. The proposed use will have no negative impact on the visual character of the neighborhood. Although the new building is larger, there is no significant change in view from the water. All properties with a view of the site and the new building are owned by members of the applicant's family. 9. The proposed use will have an impact on the method of sewage disposal, source of water drainage, or water resources. A new on-site sewage treatment and disposal system has been designed for a 4-bedroom dwelling and will be implemented in accordance with the plans entitled Proposed Dwelling and On-Site Sewage Treatment and Disposal System, Ryder and Wilcox, Inc., dated April 27, 2011, revised May 19, 2011, 2 sheets. 10. Utilities and public services will continue to be adequate for the proposed use. 11. Noise and litter will not be increased after completion of the construction of the proposed use. 12. There will be no adverse impact on groundwater quality and recharge volume and the water quality of coastal and fresh surface water bodies. Specifically, the Conservation Commission has issued an order of conditions for this project.
Can I add one just clarifying that average grade height?
This would be number 13.
I found my calcs if you want them.
I think if we just add, where did you end at, 12?
Yes, this would be number 13, sir.
So if we add number 13, for the purposes of 164-21C, the pre-existing average grade on the water side is calculated to be elevation 31.5.
Very well.
Mr. Chairman, another point of clarification, the newest revision date is actually 9/28/11, where I highlighted it on the plan. You noted an earlier revision date in your, down toward one of the last,
I referred to, the preamble was that I adopted the
you
proposed
referred to the-
dwelling and on-site sewage treatment and disposal system revised June 22nd and September 28th.
Oh, okay. Okay, I misunderstood. Thank you very much.
Recent.
Yep, thank you.
And that's the motion for adoption of findings of fact.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then, based on the findings of fact, I move that the board grant a special permit pursuant to section 164-44 of the zoning bylaw to run with the land for the construction of a single-family residence in conformity with the drawings, sheets A1 through A5, prepared by Karen Kempton, dated February 2, 2011, revised September 28, 2011. The planting plan drawn by Wilkinson Ecological Design dated June 2011. Plans entitled Proposed Dwelling and On-Site Sewage Treatment and Disposal System, Ryder and Wilcox, Inc., revised June 22, 2011, and September 28, 2011, 2 sheets. And the Resource Area Delineation Plan filed October 5, 2011, with the Zoning Board of Appeals, but in all events conditioned on full compliance with the terms and conditions of the Order of Conditions issued by the Orleans Conservation Commission and recorded in Barnstable County Registry of Deeds.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks.
I hate it when you guys make me get my calculator out.
Would you like, well,
I just wanted to point that out, that's all.
you did have your copies back.
Okay, thank you.
The blue plans are out of date, so they're not needed, right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got more stuff down there, Dave.
File copy for that last
Recycle.
Members, that concludes the public hearings for tonight. I think we still need to
Were you here,
review
were
and,
you here for one of the cases, sir?
1933.
It was postponed until August 19th?
October 19th.
October 19th, rather?
Oh, okay, I got the notice, it was,
It just was postponed before you came in.
so, another 2 weeks then, on the 19th.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think we have to consider the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve.
Any second?
Second?
All in
Any
favor?
discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously.
I have something. I have an email from George Meservey. The zoning bylaw task force has a position open for one member of the zoning board of appeals. Has the board appointed anyone?
I knew that was coming, but I didn't know the municipal entity.
They meet in the fall and the winter, the fourth Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. They work out issues and develop proposed language for bylaw amendments that the planning board wants to move forward to town meeting. So there are the particulars.
I volunteered to do that with the previous chairman. Is anyone interested?
3 o'clock?
3 o'clock, the fourth Wednesday of the month,
Meets every month?
through the following winter. Fourth Wednesday through the following winter, 3 in the afternoon.
I'm willing to take on the responsibility if I need.
Such a martyr.
Well, no,
Are we supposed to have 2,
oh, I didn't realize that.
Ryan? No, just 1? Okay.
I'd be an alternate.
Very good, good. Unless you want to do it.
I'm afraid I just wouldn't be able to be here, physically be on the Cape that
Okay.
many Wednesdays.
Will you make that communication?
You got it? Will do. We're down 2 members too, right?
We are.
So, got any friends? Or, not?
Yeah.
We're looking for alternates?
We need 2.
Well, Rolf is an alternate.
Right.
So
We usually
want
have 3 alternates.
3 alternates, okay. And Greg is no longer an associate.
Right, he's full member
He's
now.
full member.
Good, good. I'm sorry to
Rolf is the associate now. Yep.
Is Ralph,
I knew
when is
he was.
Ralph due back?
He's
I don't
back,
know.
but
He just said he
couldn't
wasn't
make it.
available for this meeting.
All right. On the 19th,
It's-
we need to make sure that he's here. I won't be here.
Okay.
And I don't know how that affects the two cases that we've already sort of heard, or, no, we haven't heard
We haven't heard either
Dewey's
of them.
case.
Yeah.
So all we have is
We haven't
Brem's
heard
and,
Trevor's either.
Well,
Yeah, I
Trevor's-
assume it's all brand new.
All brand
with
new.
him walking in.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
it's gonna be good. Brian knows. This becomes a game to find out where Trevor's gonna get us.
What's he,
Well,
what's he,
since-
what's he?
Since the house on Monument Road, he's always
Yeah, I know.
stuck into it.
You mean he's not better than the last guy?
Huh? Oh, the last guy was just sort of incompetent. Trevor is very competent.
Okay.
He's sort of like a magician, you know? He moves it all around. Now you gotta find where it went.
Builds a nice house.
He does. They're always pleased in the paper for board members, and so, have your friends.
This isn't the only board that's
No,
that's
they're all hurting.
shorthanded.
Yeah.
They're all hurting.
Yeah.
But because they're all hurting and they go through the paper, they go through the library, they advertise all kinds of different places, and unless you can find a friend and drag them along with you, we're gonna sit, you know,
Looks like they just need to be paid more.
yeah. So, that's my pitch for the night.
I have a couple things. One is, I'd be interested in seeing if the town would allow us to have an educational session with Michael Ford. I don't think that's been done for quite a while, and I've heard that it's happened in the past, and I think it might be very useful.
Don't they do that annually upstairs?
They did. Greg and I attended the session.
The general
The
session.
selectmen
Okay.
give
That's
every
the one
year.
last Monday that I
And
forgot.
Michael Ford ran most of that. Quite impressive,
Mm-hmm.
and raised a few questions and answered a whole lot of others.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would probably be a good idea, but best if we had assembled the subjects in which we wanted Mr. Ford to cover. Can we do that for the next meeting?
Would we have to have an executive session, or could we do an educational meeting online?
No, that wouldn't be, I think that would be fine. That wouldn't be subject to the open meeting.
No.
No, that's not a deliberation. So, I would suggest that if anyone has any ideas as to what town council could educate us, to let me know one way or the other what they are. I'll try to put that in a package, we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, and then see what the mechanism is to have him invited. I suspect that the town administrator has to approve something like that. Does that sound all right? That way he'll be prepared when he comes in, he'll know exactly what to talk about, such as what you can do when you go in a view.
Site visits?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we found that we left that meeting probably with more questions than we had answered. And he was very good at answering what we asked, but then we kept thinking what ifs. Okay, that's great.
That's good, so let me know. And as soon as we get that together, then we'll go to the next step.
Okay. And the second thing I had was, I'm really interested, after working in a lot of jurisdictions, sitting before a lot of appeal boards and seeking a lot of variances and special permits, the requirements for submittal, I'm really interested in tightening those up for Orleans. Not that we wouldn't have discretion to waive them for, a tiny project. But what we've been seeing here is really not even close, some of these applications. And I think if we defined our submittal requirements, it would help a lot, with discretion to waive them in certain cases. And I have a copy of what Chatham requires, and I think it's really good. And I was gonna scan this and send it around to everybody.
I think so.
I don't know what the mechanism is to change it.
I don't know either.
I think it would make Brian's job a lot easier. Because he could just go down the list and say, oops, come
Have you
back.
compared that one to what ours, when,
Yeah,
do you have a copy of what Brian gives everybody when they
yeah.
come and request something?
I did have it. I don't think I have it with me.
Whatever's on the application is, it's not a separate sheet, it's whatever's on your application.
It's, yeah, it's actually, we should have it, right? On one of these applications?
You know, I don't usually copy those pages for everybody. I mean, it's on every application that comes to, well, it's not even on every application that comes to you, but I don't usually copy these for everybody, because I figure you don't need 6 copies of it every night.
Thanks.
But I don't think it's it's this many things. From here to here.
Sure.
These two, yeah.
Look, all the plans we got for Dewey Landress are all those 8.5 by 11, and you can't read them. Are they coming back larger?
Maybe it's just the way it's presented.
May as well ask him now, because that was my first question. You
Yeah,
can't even tell what
I
a
thought, how
building
can we
height
give
is,
the
what
guy
the
the builder
Explain
last time?
how
Yeah.
you measure things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just seems a lot clearer to me.
If you could circulate the requirements by any other municipality, including the town of Chatham, I'd be, and I will determine, I'll see if I can determine how if this would be in the rules and practices of the zoning board of appeals, and I'll determine how that is changed or amended.
Okay.
Okay?
And I mean, I'm not saying we could just take Chatham's
No.
requirements and adopt them.
No, but the more uniformity we have, the better off we are, and,
For instance, there's a line here that's really interesting. So applicants shall detail as part of the application, on our application sheet this is, applicants shall detail as part of the application all pertinent data relative to the case.
See page 6.
See page 6, you know. I don't know. And I don't know where, if people actually go to page 6, you know. So it's stuff like that, I think it just allows holes in the process. Okay, that was all I had.
well, it's important for more than just the members of the Board of Appeals in connection with the public hearing. These applications are subject
That's page
to
6.
public review and scrutiny by people who are notified by mail that there has been an application.
This is the calculation page.
Determine what it's all about by looking at it, instead of coming here
Yeah, I mean, that,
asking questions
that
which
does.
otherwise could have been answered.
But there are people that don't do
Looking
it.
at the documents which were clear.
And that was really my purpose for trying to get the grade elevation out of David. Wasn't to bust his chops, but just because 2 years from now, when somebody looks back at that permit, if they haven't acted upon it, but the special permit is still valid, you know, how do we know exactly what ridge elevation we're approving unless...
We know what the basis is.
That's right.
Right.
That's
So,
right.
You know, if it were 36, which when I looked at it from one direction, it was like 35, 36, it's a much higher building than what he was really asking for at 31 and a half, so. I think that vague statement could be good leverage for us in cases like Bream, where there's just
I think the interesting thing
severe lack of
might be
information.
interesting also to,
to
this is not to do with what he was talking about, but in the case of the stage, because it's an LLC, and because all the members of the family are part of it, once that Garner gets his house built, how many others we got coming? And then all of a sudden now that it's gonna start to be, I mean, there's what, 4 or 5 different houses back in there. And plus the other side of the street too, so it'd be interesting to see how that's all gonna work out.
it's okay.
Keeps a lot of people busy.
That's what we want to see.
Good. Is there any further business to come before the meeting? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
And a second. All those in favor?
Yippee.
The meeting's adjourned.
Aye, aye, aye.